So thank you so much for that warm welcome and introduction that you have given me. I feel highly privileged in being a part of Gravithon 2021. So we can quickly begin. If I think I do not have the permissions to share video, if you can give me, or that's fine.
Just a minute, sir. Just a minute, sir.
Sure.
Let me give it to you. Yes, sir. The permission has been given to you.
Thank you so much. Am I visible?
Yes, sir. You are.
Thank you. So I'm just going to share my screen and we are going to quickly begin. So please acknowledge me if you are able to see the slides.
Yes, sir. The slides are visible.
Perfect. Okay. So, hello everyone. Thank you once again for joining. My name is Rohit. A very good introduction has been already given by the team. So I will not take much time in introduction and will quickly begin. So I run a startup called as Actify Cybersecurity in Mumbai. We are mostly focused towards trainings and cybersecurity learning education. We have also started a non-profit organization called as Actify Community, wherein we do everything for the community for totally free. We have partnership with Virtually Testing Foundation, which is a non-profit organization in US. So we basically conduct internships, hackathons, and a lot of things for the community, especially in cybersecurity. This is me. So disclaimer, this talk is basically based on extensive research from internet, tools and experience that I'm going to put into. I also have experience of working as a pen tester, as a cybersecurity consultant in different organizations, and also dealing with critical infrastructure like banking infrastructure and government infrastructure. So I'm just going to take you guide on a path of how basically pen testing and bug bounties looks like in real-time scenario in organization, and then you will be able to understand between if you're willing to start your journey in bug bounties, then how you can do that. Okay, so if you have never heard about bug bounties, what is bug bounties? It is a very common
sorry
and
to
famous
interrupt
term.
you. Actually, your voice is little bit breaking.
Okay, just a second.
Okay, sir.
Maybe it's okay if I'll turn on the video, then it will save our bandwidth. Okay.
Yes, sir. It's fine now.
Okay, so what the heck are bug bounties if you have never heard about it? So bug bounties is a very famous term nowadays, and I can basically assure that every one of you must be seeing this post regarding bug bounties everywhere on internet, social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. So why there has been a sudden traction in bug bounties? Bug bounties are not new. They have been already since many years, but suddenly a lot of traction has been given to bug bounties. And I personally feel that the lockdown, due to the coronavirus, the lockdown has given a very good boom to bug bounties as from two perspectives. First perspective is from the organizational perspective, as the organizations were unfortunately shut down. Hence, people had to start working from home. And due to that, there were a lot of assets, there were a lot of web applications and infrastructure, which was forced to basically allow users to log in from their home. So basically that infrastructure first, which was not accessible from outside, were exposed to the public internet so the employees can work from home. Hence, security researchers started identifying loopholes and vulnerabilities in that infrastructure, which was not public facing since many years. This basically lead to a lot of bug bounty hunters identifying many vulnerabilities in a lot of different organizations. Also, from the user perspective, as due to this lockdown, a lot of people have been unfortunately been forced to stay home. There is basically a trend wherein a lot of people have started doing it. They are just saving a lot of time from their work and a lot of stuff, and people are also getting bored staying home. So they are generally gradually shifting towards identifying vulnerabilities in web applications in their free time. And we have seen a very good spike in amount of students also inquiring about bug bounties in this lockdown as they want to kickstart their journey as well. So definitely in this era, bug bounties has become the need of the hour, and a lot of people are interested into this. Now, if you are just a beginner, if you have never heard about it and you want to jump into bug bounties, then yes, this talk is definitely helpful for every one of you, and it will give you some insights that you can use so you can start your journey in bug bounties. Okay, so one thing which is very important about bug bounties, on the left hand side you can see the expectations. Everyone thinks that bug bounties is free money, that you earn a lot sitting at home. You basically don't have to do anything, just sit with a laptop and an internet connection and you would be able to earn millions. But actually in reality, bug bounties is no free easy money. It is perseverance, persistence, and pushing yourself to basically how you can identify certainly with the out of box idea that other people are missing. Also, organizations also have their own security teams. Now, you have to think something out of the box that you identify those loopholes or those bugs which are being missed by the security research team of that particular organization. So you have to basically think out of the box and you have to come up with something that basically is not very common, or else your bug will go and duplicate. And this is very common in bug bounties. So in a nutshell, bug bounties requires significant amount of efforts and skills so that you are able to score good bounties. By saying this, I'm not meaning that bug bounties is extremely difficult to do. It is not fairly simple as well, but if you have right skills and you give right amount of time, then you definitely can score a lot of good bug bounties. All right. Having said that, I have top 10 rules for everyone who should remember before they start doing bug bounties, or if you're already a pro bug bounty hunter and already doing things. The first one starts with choosing the right bug bounty program. This is very important because whenever there is a beginner or a person who already is been doing bug bounties, sometimes they go towards a wrong program. Choosing a right bug bounty program is very important. Why? Because if we basically do not pick a bug bounty program that suits our need, then we basically will end up getting demotivated by finding nothing. For example, let's say I'm good in web applications, okay, web application testing, and I pick up a bug bounty program which is basically more focused towards, let's say, IoT or mobile pen testing. Okay, so there's a mobile application. So basically, I would not be able to identify many things over there. So you have to check and pick a bug bounty program which suits your need and suits your skills. Also, one thing I want to recommend over here is, if you're generally a beginner, then choose a program which is not crowded by a lot of security researchers. You can always pick programs which are of responsible disclosure policy or which provide points. This way, there would be not a lot of people hunting over there, and you can consider it as a digital playground and start identifying quick vulnerabilities. This will give you enough of motivation and enough of experience so that you can gradually move on to big paying programs like Apple, Google, Facebook, etc. But we can definitely always start with something which is very small, and that will help us to boost our motivation so that we can move ahead into the right direction. Next point is recon or information gathering. Please do not DDoS with active scans or automated scanners. I have seen a lot of people just running active scanners onto bug bounty programs. This way, basically, you are not going to learn anything. Your learning curve will not increase as you're just trying to spray and pray that you may end up identifying something from these scanners. Definitely, active scanners, automated scans are helpful. You can use them, but totally relying on these active scans and automated scanners and not understanding what is the actual fundamental thing that is happening behind the attack will not lead you very far in the bug bounty process. So always try to do things manually, do correct reconnaissance, information gathering, and gradually move towards your target. Use automated scanners, but do not completely rely on them. Next, now this may sound very funny that when we are doing bug bounties, why shouldn't we expect rewards? Definitely, we do bug bounties for rewards. You're absolutely right. But When you have just started your journey, in the beginning, don't keep an expectation for rewards, because this is something which is not under our control. So do not stick your emotions to something which is not in your control. There are a lot of programs who take 7 days, or let's say a month, or even a year to pay you. So if you're just going to keep your mind and heart to that particular program, waiting for that particular reward, you may basically not turn out to be very productive or efficient in identifying vulnerabilities in other programs, because all the time you will be thinking about this organization and the reward that you are waiting for. So do not expect rewards. This will eventually fall in right place, and if you're doing it correctly, then rewards will automatically fall. You should be excited and surprised for the rewards that you get without expecting it. So I definitely recommend that do not keep yourself more attached towards rewards for any organization. Let it be a surprise for you, and whenever you get it, you should be really very happy about it. Next is develop your own flow or approach or methodology. Now, this is important. See, bug bounties is all about how you are able to identify a unique vulnerability which is not duplicate. For this, you have to develop your own approach of how you're going to test the web applications or any website. You can come up with your own methodology or your own checklist as well, in which you can write, okay, so these are the first 10 steps that I'm going to perform on any program, and this is how I'm going to slightly tweak my methodology, which is not exactly same as everyone else. Hence, I'm able to identify something which is not common, and this will be helpful for me. So you should always think about how you can tweak your approach and methodology and how it becomes a little different from others. So basically, you are not ending up finding the same duplicate vulnerabilities. This one is very important. Surround yourself with bug bounty community to keep yourself updated. Bug bounty community is awesome, and there are a lot of security researchers and good people who constantly share their tips, techniques, any new exploits that they come across and knowledge. You should always surround yourself with this community and definitely learn from them as well as give back to the community. You can just follow good communities over Twitter as well. There are some good communities over Discord. So just keep in touch with them, and so that you are basically a part of it and you are able to know things when new things which come up now and then. Next is automate everything. Now, this I do not expect from a beginner who has just started to automate things, but eventually, if you're able to understand vulnerabilities properly, and if you're doing the same thing twice, I highly recommend, if you're doing the same thing again and again, try to automate it. Do not put your time and efforts in the same thing that you are repeatedly doing. So try that if you're able to automate things. Next is make your own checklist. You have to make your own checklist. By this, I mean that the list of vulnerabilities that you're going to identify on a particular program. So you do not miss things when you are doing something onto a program. I have seen that people basically miss out some very simple things onto a program, and later on they see, oh, someone else identified this vulnerability. Why didn't I check it? It happens. People make mistakes. People tend to forget things. Hence, checklist is going to help you whenever you are hunting on program to keep you in the right direction. Next is when you find a bug, chain it. I again do not recommend, or I do not expect beginners to chain vulnerabilities. So chaining basically means that if you have identified a vulnerability, how you can add another vulnerability to it so that you can increase the security impact. For example, let's say you identified a SSRF vulnerability onto a program, and you are able to exploit metadata from the server and do things from the server level. But if you are able to chain it with any other vulnerability, so let's say if you chain it with XSS, this way, if you're able to steal cookies of other users as well, then you're basically increasing your security impact. So you can just try to think of out of the box ideas, and you can try to chain multiple vulnerabilities together. This way, basically, you're increasing the security impact as well as you're increasing the reward that you will get. Increase the severity. Impact matters. This is very important. You have to increase the severity. If there is no severity of your issue, then basically does not mean that you have to basically report it to a program, because certainly it will go under duplicate or NA, which is not applicable. Remember, in bug bounties, you have to make some significant amount of security impact. If you're not able to make it, then it will not be accepted by any program. So whenever you also identify any vulnerability, you just think that what will be the impact of this vulnerability to the organization as well as the customers of that organization before reporting it. And that will be great if you are able to come up with different scenarios so that you can include it into your report, so that triagers can also have views from different angles that you're thinking, that will basically help to add up the overall impact and severity, and which will basically increase your reward as well. The last one is mental health. It is very important. I have seen a lot of people getting demotivated and burned out whenever they are doing bug bounties, because they are not able to identify things for days and weeks and months. That is totally fine. We certainly cannot basically keep a target and keep achieving that target, and we are going to get a fixed amount of bounties every month or every week. That is totally not possible, and we cannot also predict it. So that is fine if we are not able to identify good bugs in a span of a week time or a month's time. That is fine. Still, I will basically recommend that we keep our focus more towards our learning curve, and we are learning everything every day. It is fine if you're not able to get bounties every day. So keep yourself calm. If possible, take help of meditation. It basically will keep you calm in times when you are basically burned out. Whatever things you like, you can do that. Take breaks from your hunting, take breaks from your computer, do some leisure, listen to music, and go to vacations. Whatever you like, basically you can do that, and you can basically divert your attention towards other things. Once you are fine and you think, okay, so now I can stick back to bug bounty hunting or pen testing, you can basically get back to it. So these are the top 10 rules which should be remembered all the time whenever you are doing. You feel free to modify this, add or delete according to you. I believe these are certainly the top 10 rules that everyone should keep in mind. Now, talking about programs, where you can start your bug bounty hunting journey. So there are many programs like Bugcrowd, HackerOne, Cobalt, Synac, ZeroCopter, Open Bug Bounty, and there are some private RVDP programs as well. So RVDP stands for Responsible Vulnerability Disclosure Policy. So these are the most famous programs wherein basically you can sign up for free. Once you are able to sign up over there, you can see that there are multiple programs which have already been onto these platforms. So you can pick one program, read their policy, read what are the domains in scope, and then you can start hunting your journey. Also, I will also recommend that you pick up private bug bounty programs as well, which are not available on these crowdsourced platforms like Bugcrowd, HackerOne. For example, Facebook, Apple, Google, they run their own private programs. So you can also have a look at them. There are other organizations as well which run their own program on a small scale, but you can also pick up those programs as well. I will show how to identify those programs using bug bounty docs. Okay, so let's quickly understand subdomains for Recon. So the first step that you're going to do basically when you start your bug bounty hunting journey or your reconnaissance is identifying subdomains. And you should basically know what is a subdomain. So here you can see in the figure, it says alpha.beta.evilcorp.com. Now here evilcorp.com is the top level domain or a website name which is generally referred to. Next, you can see there is beta dot. Now this beta.evilcorp.com makes a subdomain of evilcorp.com. So what is a subdomain? A subdomain, as can be seen into the figure, is a subdivision of a domain. Now, in real-time scenarios, we may see that there are multiple subdomains as well. As you can see, alpha.beta.evilcorp.com. This is again also a subdomain, but it is known as a vertical correlation subdomain. Or in simple terms, you can call it as subdomain. There could be more, but this is generally the format of how a subdomain and a subdomain looks like. And you can also always try to identify subdomains for a target program. This way, you're increasing your scope for identifying vulnerabilities on programs. As you can see onto the screenshot I've added, Demo update.apple.com. So there was a server configuration issue which we identified and reported it to Apple. So Apple runs a bug bounty program for all the assets that they own. That is their top level domain, which is apple.com, their subdomain, which is, as you can see over here, demoupdate.apple.com, and their acquisitions as well. So generally, we should, or we can try identifying the quick vulnerabilities first that may be lying over there on some of its subdomains, which is not being fixed by the developers, or there have been some server misconfiguration, or which has not been picked by the security researchers. So you can just get some quick wins if you are able to just quickly scan the subdomains and just identify, or you can start with hunting on subdomains, because it may be overlooked by other security researchers and you may able to identify a quick vulnerability over there. Okay, so this is a good example wherein you can see we identified an issue on demoupdate.apple.com. Now, how to identify subdomains? To do this, we have plenty of tools to use. Some of the tools that I really like to use is, I'm just going to show you. I like to use SubFinder to do this. Now, SubFinder is basically a tool which is written by project discovery teams. So we can just go to SubFinder GitHub, hit enter. And once we are over here, we can basically try to download it quickly. There are varieties of tools to do subdomain enumeration. You can feel free to use which one suits you or which one you like. I like to use SubFinder because it is really fast. It is written in Go. Because of concurrency, it gives me the output very good. And also it has very good amount of sources, data sources from where it pulls the subdomains. AMAS is again a very good tool, and you can also use AMAS. I'm just going to show you how you can configure SubFinder and use it. So I'll just go to releases right now and click over here. I'm going to download the compatible version for your operating system. So I'm currently on Mac OS, so I'm just going to download it. So I'll just copy this, go to the terminal. Okay, and I'm just going to download this quickly. Okay, so it says wget not found. Let's download it manually. So once it is downloaded, I'm going to run it and I'm going to show you how you can quickly identify subdomains for a target. So until this is happening, let us see one more way, which is subdomain finder 99. Okay. Now for those who are not much familiar with terminal, you can also choose GUI. And this is basically the GUI interface of how you can quickly identify subdomains for any target. So I will just go here and let's say I'll type srsecure.xyz or any of your targets that you want to scan. Click on start scan. So it will just take a few moments and it will give you the list of subdomains that is running. As you can see, I've identified the list of subdomains. As you can see, broken, online shop, bounty store, get me, new subdomain, fuzz me, etc. So these are all the subdomains that of a program that we have just seen. You guys can use this, copy from here, put it into a list, and then you can use that for your next step or next process as well. So here I've just downloaded SubFinder. Let me just unzip this quickly. This is a binary that I have got, and I'm just going to run this and I'm going to show you how does it looks like. Just clear the screen. I'll drop it over here. Okay, and I'm just going to run this. Before that, I should be giving permissions to run this or else it will not run. So I'll just give executable permissions to this. And now let's see if it works. So it is saying that we have to give permissions to this because these are Mac OS issues. So let me just give permissions to this quickly. So once I allow it, it should definitely now work perfectly fine. Okay, so now let's try to run it. Yes, so now it is running. As you can see, this is the banner message This is how it looks. So I'm just going to clear the screen, and once more I'm going to run this. So subfinder-d, D stands for domain name, and I'm going to identify subdomains for the same target, srsecure.xyz, and hit enter. So it is just going to take a couple of seconds, and it is going to enumerate the subdomains for this target, and it is going to give us the list of subdomains that are present and existing over here. So we did the same thing using GUI that we are able to see over here. You can also use the CLI tool like this. I will also recommend that you combine output from different tools like Subfinder, Find Domain, AMAS, sort it in a unique way, and then you basically use that output as well. Okay. So here we can see we identified 49 subdomains in 34 seconds for this target. Now I can pick anyone that looks interesting to me, and I can move forward in identifying some valid issues on that. So I hope you guys understood subdomain enumeration. You can mix output of other tools, sort them, and basically identify unique ones, and then you can use a good list which will not basically miss any of the subdomains for any particular target. One more good resource is cert.sh. So this is certificate transparency logs. This can also be used to identify valid vulnerabilities, valid subdomains, and out of those subdomains, we can basically try to identify valid vulnerabilities as well. Okay. So you can just type cert.sh, and once it opens, you can basically put the target program that you want to check for or you want to identify for, and then basically it will give you the list of all those particular domain names which are having that particular certificate, and then you can pick it, and then you can use that for your purposes as well. Now, for some reason, cert.sh is not responding. So let's try it quickly once more. So for some reasons it is not responding. That is fine, no problem, but it is exactly the same steps. You just have to go there and search for your target, and you will get a list of all those domains and subdomains running, or which are being similar to the target that you have searched for. Then you will get a very good list of subdomains from there as well. All right, let's get back to the presentation now. So I hope you guys understood what are subdomains and what are the different sources that you can use for identifying subdomains. Okay, so what are the most important things for anyone to start or learn first so that they can start their bug bounties process or bug bounty hunting journey? The first is the OWASP top 10. It is very important, and you can consider this as the base fundamental foundational step of your bug bounties or web application security pen testing. So OWASP stands for Open Web Application Security Project. This is a list of top 10 vulnerabilities that what one can identify in any of the running website or web application. So get used to OWASP vulnerabilities, and this is going to help definitely in a long run. In either if you're doing freelancing projects or pen testing, or you're doing bug bounties for yourself, or if you're planning to join any organization, then this is going to definitely help you. Next is SANS 25, top 25. So you can also check SANS, the top 25 security software issues, the most common ones. Then you can also refer to this. So OWASP and SANS 25 both together will give you enough exposure towards what are the vulnerabilities that are identified in web applications. So you can go through it, learn about it, and this will give you a quick idea of what you should identify next. Linux and Bash is what I recommend. Most of the servers which are running right now in the world run on Linux. So basically you should know how to use a Linux operating system as well, because this will be helpful when you're doing bug bounties, whenever you want to get a reverse shell or do some exploitation or do some LFI or something like that. So you should get used to Linux. In general, Linux is also very easy, and it is comparatively faster than other operating systems, and this will help you in getting used to many things as well. So if you have not switched to Linux yet, switch to Linux, and this will definitely help you. I also recommend Bash. In Bash, you can basically try to automate most of your work that you are doing repeatedly. So you can use Bash to recommend to basically automate most of your things that you are doing again and again. So it will be a time saver for you. Talking about a programming language, if you want to pick up any programming language, you're free to do that for whatever programming language that you like. If you have not yet picked up a programming language and you ask me to suggest something, then I can suggest you Python or Go. Both of these programming languages are excellent, and you can pick up anyone from them which suits you and you basically like how the language is. Both of them are easy and it's good to go to learn in 2021, and it will definitely be helpful to you. Networking is important. If you are not aware about networking concepts, then you will miss majority of the things and you will not be able to understand why these things are happening. For example, networking concepts like NAT, bridge, or host only, how the computers are connected, what basically is the subnet, what are the CIDR ranges, etc. So networking concepts are important. You can consider this as basic fundamentals. I'm not saying that everyone go and be a pro in networking and get a CCNA, CCNP certificate. Totally no, but you should definitely be aware about how network works, how basically your request is going from one end to another end. If you're not able to connect to a certain program while you're testing, that you should be able to know what is the issue that is going on, how a VPN works, and so on. So basic idea about networking is again definitely helpful in bug bounties. Now, here is a mind map which I've added that can be useful for everyone. Now, what is a mind map, you may ask? So mind map, in short, in a nutshell, is basically something that you keep in your mind whenever you are going to hunt on any program, so that you don't get confused or you do not forget about things of what are the next steps that you're going to do. Generally, a lot of people, while hunting on programs, tend to miss some simple things as well. So you guys can use a mind map. Definitely, mind map is important so that you know what are the next steps, next things that you are going to do onto a program. And this way, you will be able to cover all the aspects of your security testing that you're going to perform. With mind map, you can also use a checklist of vulnerabilities that needs to be tested. Now, it would be extremely difficult to explain the whole mind map in a very short time frame now, but I will give the link to this mind map at the end, a clear version of it, so that you guys can use it and just go through it one by one, block by block, so you will understand what does that block do. So I have named all the blocks over here that are basically the steps that we perform and what are the tools required for those steps from GitHub. Those are basically the list of all the open source tools. You are free to use this mind map, modify it, update it, remove it, whatever things that you like, because everyone has their own approach and mindset. So you can use this as a basic reference and you can modify this according to your need that suits you, and you can come up with something better as well. So this is basically how a mind map looks like and how you can use it into your day-to-day methodology or your approach for pen testing or bug bounties. Okay, so here I have added how basically we approach a program based on scopes in bug bounties, as you can see over here. So this is a small scope program. So small scope program basically means that there is one domain, which is www.example.com, and how we are going to approach that particular program. So these are the list of things that we can certainly do onto a program. I will share the slides at the end as well, so you guys can take a reference of it and you guys can just try to replicate all the steps whenever you're going to do your hunting journey. So we can start with directory enumeration, GitHub docking, server enumeration. We can use nuclei, move on to Google docking, and so on. So these are the steps that we can do whenever we are going to do small scope based testing. Okay. Once we move forward to medium scope, where our scope increases, that is star.example.com. And here the program owner says that all the subdomains for our target is in scope. So you feel free to test all the assets of our organization. So any number of subdomains that are for that particular program, all are considered to be in scope, and we can basically test all of them. In the beginning, if you guys can recall, I have shared you that how we can identify subdomains of the program, which is srsecure.xyz. We did it using both CLI and browser. So in that case, if I was able to identify any subdomain or any vulnerability on that subdomain of that program, that would be considered in scope. So you can first read the policy of that program, and if it says that all assets are in scope, and it says star.example.com is good for you to hunt on, then these are the things that you can do. Here, the green ones onto the left are the additions that you have to do into this. All other remains the same. The steps remains the same from small scope. So first thing we can do is identify a list of subdomains. So you can also identify subdomains from different sources that I've already mentioned. You can identify subdomains based on status codes as well. And you can basically bifurcate all those subdomains which are working, which gives 200 OK, which are basically not working or dead, which gives you 404, and which are basically not allowing you to access it, which gives you a 403 forbidden or unauthorized kind of status code. So you can filter it, and then you can move on to first the 200 OK, and then you can move on to the 403 forbidden ones and check if you're able to bypass that restrictions. Okay. You can check for vulnerabilities now, like subdomain takeovers. As we have identified subdomains, you can check if you're able to do takeovers. Here I identify S3 misconfiguration of all these subdomains. You can also do subdomain brute forcing and identify new subdomains which are not identified by these tools like Subfinder or Find Domain. You can use permutation combinations and tools like Alt DNS or DNS Gen to identify more subdomains by the help of brute forcing. This could be a time-consuming task, but you can run it onto your own free, cheap VPS overnight, and it will give you the list of new subdomains that you guys can use, which are basically not available into the data sources by these tools. Other steps remains the same, that you guys can have a look and you can do them. Also, once you have identified the subdomains for a program, and let's say those subdomains are more than 1000, then you can filter, identify that subdomains based on status codes. Then you can take screenshot of that subdomains. Screenshotting, again, you don't have to do it manually. There are many tools like Aquatone, Web Screenshot, Ghostair, etc. After you have taken screenshot of all those tools using these, all the subdomains using these tools, you can filter all the screenshots based on page size and title if you want. Or I really like to sort all the screenshots based on page sizes only. So let's say there is a screenshot which says www.getme.srsecure.xyz, which has the highest size in when I have taken the screenshot. So I will just sort all the screenshots into the folder in my computer based on size. So automatically all the pages which has larger size will come up, and then I can pick up, oh, these are certainly the subdomains which contains bigger size, which means there would be something which is running over there. It could be a web application, it could be a login portal, it could be a default port configuration panel, something like this. So this way you can basically bifurcate quick subdomains from, let's say, if you identify 10 or 50 or let's say 500 subdomains for a program, and you will know, okay, so these are the first 20 or first 50 that I have to look on. Others which do not have more page size, that can be looked later on, because that would be possibly dead subdomains or subdomains which are not running anything, static ones. So this is a very cool trick that you guys can do after screenshotting. Sort based on page sizes and pick up with large page sizes, because they are running something over there that you can approach and find quick vulnerabilities into. You can also go through all the screenshots one by one, and you can see if any of the screenshot is leaking a directory listing, or there is a subdomain takeover vulnerability over there. You will be able to quickly see the fingerprint. If it says, let's say this shop is currently unavailable, you can take this, then that it will be a Shopify subdomain takeover. If it says that bucket not found, then it could be basically a S3 bucket takeover. So just quickly after doing screenshotting, you will be able to identify vulnerabilities by just looking through them and not doing anything more. Now, the subdomains that you have picked so far, you can also filter that based on 403 subdomains which are unauthorized. So you can use tools like 403 bypasser and try to identify if you can bypass it. You can also filter A records, CNAME records, check for subdomain takeovers. If they are running old software versions, you can use GitHub exploits and Metasploit modules to exploit those software versions that are running on those subdomains. So this is a general approach that you guys can do. Now, let's say if you have a large scope program, a large scope program would be, for example, let's talk about Apple. So Apple says everything that is under our network is in scope. So everything under their ASN range, their CIDR range, their acquisitions, their subdomains, everything is in scope. So what we will do first is we will try to identify seeds and roots of that particular program. That is basically the CIDI range, the ASN numbers. Then we identify live host using mask scan from that ASN range, which means the IP addresses which are lying into their particular subnet. Then we also check for acquisitions. You can use Crunchbase or Wikipedia to identify acquisitions for any program. You will be able to see what are the other organizations that have been, or programs which are being acquired by Apple using Crunchbase and Wikipedia. Then you can also hunt vulnerabilities into them. For example, Shazam is an acquisition, iTunes, iCloud. So these are some things that will be helpful for you. If you identify vulnerabilities into that, it is also considered under the bug bounty program of Apple. You can do DNS and SSL enumeration. You can use Shodan, Census, and Spicy to identify more assets of that particular program, and then the step remains the same. You guys can also use bug bounty docs to identify programs, as I explained earlier. So let me show you how you can quickly use bug bounty docs. So I'll just go to Shifa 123 GitHub. So once we are over here, we will be able to see bug bounty docs, and there are Shodan docs. So we'll use bug bounty docs first. So bug bounty docs is basically, this repo contains all the bug bounty docs, which is sourced from different awesome sources and compiled in one place. This will be helpful for us to identify programs that are running their own bug bounty or responsible disclosure program. So I will just use this doc, search, and you can see that we are able to get list of programs. Aquasec.com, they're running their own RVDP program. So all these websites are running their RVDP program, as we can see over here. Palantir.com, you can see they reward up to this much, and if you identify any code execution, they reward up to this much, authentication bypass, and so on. So you guys can check the scope policy and the reward matrix for those programs. As you can see, there would be many. You can just scroll on to next pages. In case you want to identify programs based on specific region or sites, then you can just mention over here. So let's say I want to identify programs for EU region or European region. So you can just add site EU, and this way you will be able to identify programs which are from EU region. So kissflow.eu, flowmailer.eu, urid.eu, and so on. So you can keep on modifying it according to your needs. So let's say NL. So you will get Dutch programs over here, as you can see. You can also modify it according to, let's say, UK. So you will get UK programs over here. So you can just keep on modifying this based on your needs, and you will get more and more list of programs that you can hunt for. Okay, so all these are private bug bounty programs that you can pick. There is one more resource that I want to share. So you can just go to chaos.project discovery.io. So once we are over here, here is also a very good data source that we can use to identify programs that are running a bug bounty program. So we'll just go over here. Here you can simply go and check the programs. So I'll just click on one of them. So let's say I want to identify vulnerability in Acons Grow, which is hosted on Bugcrowd. So I can just click on this cloud button and it will download the list of subdomains. Does it offer rewards? Yes. It offers swag? No. Number of subdomains 602, last updated 8 hours ago. So it keeps on updating data for programs that you can pick it up from here. And there are 5.996 billion total records that have been added over here. So there is plenty for you to at least kickstart your journey and on programs wherein you can identify good vulnerabilities. I will suggest that first you can try from programs which does not offer rewards. You can just go and click on no rewards or offers swag. So you can see there are 19 programs which offer swag. Swag basically means goodies, certificates, appreciation letter, and that stuff. So you can also start with these programs. No rewards programs, you can see there are in total 200 programs. So you can also start with them. So basically you become more confident in your vulnerability hunting or bug bounty hunting path and journey, and then you can move on to with rewards program. Okay, feel free to start with rewards as well. This is not a rule that I'm saying, but this is just a suggestion, so that if you have never done any kind of bug bounty hunting, you can pick up easy targets first, and this will motivate you and you will become more confident, and then you'll hunt on with reward programs. There are also self-hosted programs. Self-hosted programs are basically those programs which are running their own bug bounty programs. Okay, I hope everyone got a quick understanding about this. So this way you can use bug bounty docs. You guys can also use bug bounty targets data. This is again a very good resource wherein each hour new data is being uploaded onto that particular target for target. So you can pick subdomains from there as well. Google Docking is a very good skill that we can use. I have already shown you how you can use Google Docking to identify responsible disclosure programs, but you can also use Google Docking in bug bounties to identify sensitive information. As you can see, there is an operator in title, which is used to search page titles. So I'm just searching in title admin login, and this way I will be able to identify admin logins for that particular program. So if I just show you, let's say I want to search for a target, which is Bentley. So Bentley runs a bug bounty program. So I will just type bentley.com, and you can see I have got a list of programs over here. And I can pick up any program, any subdomain of that particular program. Let's say here you can see education.bentley, Bentley, www.bentley, 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 and so on. So I just want to remove all this, and I want only the subdomain. So you can just type -www, and now you can see I will get a list of subdomains. For example, status, YII, construction, select server, subscription services, reporting, NJTA-IT. So this way you are getting subdomains just using Google Docking. You guys are free to use tools as well, but this way also it will be helpful for you. Now, let's say I want to identify a specific portal. So I will just say Swagger and hit enter. Now we can see we are able to get Swagger API, Swagger UIs over here. Generally, most of Swagger UIs are considered to be, if they're not correctly configured, to be vulnerable. So you guys can try to see if you are able to send some queries from over here or do some sensitive actions, then basically it will also be considered in your scope. So this way, Google Docking can be really powerful for you to identify issues for any program. So let's say I want to see some Jira based portals for this. So you can also use this keywords, and then you can identify more and more programs. So let's say I want to log in. I want to identify login portals. You can modify this, and you will be able to get some of the login portals over there. Okay. Sorry, admin. Okay. So this can be used. If you want, you can modify this to in URL. Let's say in URL admin login, and you can see now you're able to get admin login pages for most of the web applications. Okay. If you want for a specific web application, you can type, let's say, gov.in, and this way you will be able to get login pages for gov.in websites. Okay. Let's move ahead. Google Docking. As you know how Google Docking can be done now, you guys can also become author of your own Google Docs by reporting Google Docs to Google Hacking Exploit Database. How to do that? Let's quickly see it. So for that, we'll quickly jump onto GHDB, which stands for Google Hacking Database. So once we are onto Google Hacking Database, you guys can take a reference over here, and you can search for some Google Docs that can be used from here. So you guys can see there are different Google Docs which have been reported for the categories like sensitive, directories, various online devices, page containing login portals, juicy information, and so on. So I'll just go on filter, and let's say you want to see what docs that I have reported. So I'll just go over here based on author name. And you can see these are the docs which I have reported, which are useful for identifying files containing juicy information. So let's say I go on the first one. In title index of MySQL properties. So GHDB ID, the author name, published on this date. What does this Google Doc do? And Google search. So I'll just click on this. And you can see we are able to identify those programs which are exposing MySQL.properties. So let's say I go to the first one and let's try to open this. So here we can see the database URL, port, the username, that is this, and the password as well. So this can be used to identify valid vulnerabilities in different bug bounty programs as well. Now, how you can also report your own Google Doc. So there are two requirements that will quickly sum up. The first requirement is your Google Doc should be unique, which means it should not have been already reported to Google hacking database. Okay, so I'll just go over here and let's say use this quick search feature, hit enter. If it pops up over here and it says, okay, it is already there, then basically it is not unique. So you can just modify this to whatever you want so that you get something which is sensitive. Okay. Or you're able to make a Google Doc, which is useful for fingerprinting something. For example, websites which are running iSwap server or Apache on port 80, you guys can use those Google Docs as well. And then you can report to exploit database. For reporting, you can simply send an email to docs@offsec.com and the unique doc that you have identified. So let's say, let's try this doc. Let's go over here, paste it over here, hit enter. It is saying no matching record found. So if this is able to get you something which is unique or sensitive or a unique fingerprint, then it is good to be reported. Okay, you can send an email to docs@offsec.com, and this way, if your Google Doc is unique, then it will basically take a week's time to publish over there. And this way, your doc will be published, which can be used by other people into the community as well. Okay, so students have achieved through bug bounties a lot of stuff that I want you to quickly have a glance to. In case you are not yet motivated to do bug bounties, students have reported vulnerabilities on a lot of different programs, and they have also landed quick, good jobs in cybersecurity as well. Now, I will highly recommend reporting vulnerabilities to our government of India as well. So they have started the responsible disclosure program in partnership with NCIIPC, and you guys can report vulnerabilities to them. They release quarterly newsletters, which is NCIIPC newsletters, and they acknowledge the top 15 security researchers of the country, wherein they will post your names. So as you guys can see over here, there are certainly many names of students who have reported to these programs to NCIIPC. Now, all the government websites are in scope, so you can pick up any government website. And if you identify anything over there, then you can basically help the government of India to strengthen their cybersecurity ecosystem and fix those vulnerabilities before they are being exploited by any third-party attackers. Okay. So we identified vulnerabilities in Apple as well, as can be seen over here. We reported 33 out of them, 8 accepted, 2 dupes, and 2 are rewarded. Some bounties backed by our students. So you can see students have got quick bounties as well. In total, $20,000 bounties earned so far. So this is the count that I have got. It could be possibly more. While making the slides, this was the official count. Students, we also teach about bug bounties. We have training program and courses, and our students basically lie in 149 countries everywhere and learn about how to do bug bounties, speak 53 different languages. And this is it. So thanks for staying till the end. If in case any questions that you have, feel free to ask. I may answer your questions now. And in case you have any questions and if you want to connect with me at a later point of time, you can send me an email at rohit@hactify.in, or you can also send an email to Shifa. And you guys can also reach out to us at LinkedIn or Twitter. We are always available over there, and we are ready to help to anyone who needs any kind of guidance. Thank you so much.
Hello, sir. Thanks a lot for the wonderful session. I am also a bug bounty hunter, and I learned a lot from this session. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot. And I have been following you, and I was very excited to okay, Hacktify, yes. And I was also in one of the intern in virtual testing foundation, and head of in the next quarter, you are going to keep the internship with the, and I am excited for that internship. And also our participants is also excited and they are fully fed up with the chat box. And sir, I'm from the participant side, I'm having some of the questions. So sir, how to get started on Bugout? Because there is a lot of hackers and maximally there will be getting of many duplicates.
Hmm.
So where to start and how to do that?
Okay, so basically, if anyone who is a beginner who want to start with bug bounties, they can. I will highly recommend they pick up programs which are very small or private bug bounty programs using the bug bounty docs which I have shown you. That is Shifa 123 bug bounty docs. You guys can use that. That will be basically those programs which are not crowded by a lot of people, and this way you will not end up getting a duplicate over there. If we jump on programs which are basically a lot of crowded by different people, for example Google, Facebook, or something like that, a beginner would not be able to identify a bug quickly over there and also may get demotivated. So hence I will suggest pick up responsible vulnerability disclosure programs or programs which only give you points. Okay, this way you will get enough of confidence, and this way you can move forward. You can pick programs from Bugcrowd as well, which gives you points, and you this way you will basically able to understand more, get motivated, and will be able to move forward into this journey. And once you're comfortable, you can pick up rewarding programs as well, and you can hunt on these programs like Google, Facebook, Apple, etc.
Okay, sir. Sir, and can you suggest the books for the beginners?
Oh, books. There are plenty of books available. Actually, I have not read many books specifically towards pen testing and bug bounties. Web Hacking 101 is a book which I read. I really liked it, and I recommend that book for everyone to read. Apart from that, there are a lot of good blogs that you guys can read through. Now, reading a book sometimes can become boring for someone reading a 500-page book, so that's totally fine. You can refer to a lot of good blogs. So for example, you can read about InfoSec write-ups on Medium. They are very good. You can read about the Hacker News, GB Hackers, hacking articles. So these are some of the very good resources that one can look upon and read about web application pen testing and bug bounties. Apart from this, Twitter is an excellent resource to learn about things. Follow good people, security researchers, and check about whatever blogs or research papers or white papers they are publishing. Read that, and that should be definitely be helpful and will do the job for if anyone who wants to keep reading and is more interested in to learn things.
Okay, sir. Sir, and also some are asking, is there any free resources in Hackify to get started?
Yes, sure. So considering about free resources, we came up with this idea of Hacktify community in partnership with VT. So stay tuned. We are going to basically announce an web application pen testing internship, come bug bounty internship, that is going to be coming up very soon, which will be for a period of 3 months. So we have been working very hard to develop the infrastructure, and we have successfully done that. It will be really helpful for every one of you once you come across to that internship, and you will be able to learn a lot of things wherein me and my team will constantly interact with you guys for a period of 3 months. Apart from this, we also make courses. So we constantly do giveaway of courses as well. So stay tuned to our social media handles. We are going to come up very soon for some giveaway of courses as well as a hackathon plan wherein everyone can participate into.
Okay, sir. Sir, and also one of the question is, for example, if I found any bug in the some of organization and they don't have any bug bounty program, so how do we approach them?
Sure. So first thing is, let's say unintentionally, if you identify it, first thing, do not basically try to do security testing on programs which do not have a bug bounty program or a VDP program. Why? Because they are not ready with the amount of testing that we are going to do and the amount of the amount of basically requests and responses that we are going to generate there, and the stress that we are going to put onto the servers. So first thing is that, and let's say unintentionally, if you identify something on these program, two things that you can do is, first thing, you can reach out to them regarding the flaw that you have identified so that it is not exploited by any attacker or adversary, and it does not basically leads to a catastrophic cyber attack or a data breach. So first thing, you can ethically try to report them, and if you have reported to them, if you've not heard back from them, then you can use open bug bounty platform. Just go on open bug bounty platform and try to report over there. Now the team at open bug bounty, they are an open source community for reporting these issues. So what they will do is they will try to contact the organization on your behalf. So that can be done. These are the two cases or two conditions that you can do if any program is not running their VDP program.
Okay, sir. So, how can we find the subdomains manually, or else how to take the subdomain takeover?
Okay, so subdomains, there are multiple tools, as I've already stated, using Subfinder, Find Domain, Sublister, NockPy. You can use GUI tools as well. This is known as passive subdomain enumeration. Basically, we are using tools to enumerate subdomains. If you want to do active subdomain enumeration, and you want to identify new subdomains which are not being crawled by these tools or their data sources, you can do basically brute forcing of subdomains using tools like Alt DNS or DNS Gen. You can take a word list and you can brute force subdomain names. And this way you will be able to identify a list of new subdomains which are not being crawled by these data sources. This sometimes is helpful, and you can also try doing active subdomain enumeration. The two tools are DNS Gen and Alt DNS. So you guys can try this to do active subdomain enumeration. Now for subdomain takeovers, subdomain takeovers is all about matching a fingerprint and identifying if you are able to take over any particular dangling CNAME or a record onto any organization. There are multiple tools to do this as well. I will highly recommend Nuclei. Nuclei has very good list of fingerprints into the takeover folder. So you can check those fingerprints. They are constantly updated, and that you can use that for doing subdomain takeovers. There are other tools as well. For example, sub takeover, subover, subz, etc. But I will recommend using Nuclei because it is very simple to use, as well as you guys can modify the fingerprints quickly according to your needs as well.
Thanks a lot for taking out your time, sir. And also, some are asking about the mind map, so you can share it with us, so we can share it with them. Sir,
sure, I will
thanks a lot, sir.
Yes, I will share the mind map as well as the slides with you at the end.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Thanks for coming and taking out your busy time and giving the session to the participants, sir. Thanks a lot, sir, for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me at this Gravithon. I'm very honored, privileged, and happy to be among you guys and share some knowledge and insights to you guys. I'm also very helpful to all the participants who are over here and are listening. So thank you so much for being over here and listening so patiently and being so interactive at the end for asking questions. Thank you so much. In case anytime you guys need any help regarding anything in terms of cybersecurity, please reach out to me and Shifa. We are always available to help you guys. Once again, thank you so much, Likith, for organizing this and making me a part of this event.
It's our pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. So participants, that's it for the session. So thanks for joining up.